tree and your character's like this, and then you fall, and then you have to wait a million years. Hey, what's up, man? Gotcha.
How's it going, Westside Taylor chat?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Why do I keep calling you Westside Taylor? You're Tyler.
Everybody does that. Don't even feel bad. I get people call me Taylor instead of Tyler like 9 times out of 10. Your mic is pretty quiet though, by the way.
We are here finally.
Yes.
Meeting. I think we like planned to do this like a week or two ago.
Yeah. I went out of town on vacation, and then last week I had to do so much catching up I couldn't get to it. But you were going to talk about Plague Moth. Is Plague Moth? Plagued Moth.
Yeah. I think you watched a little bit of Turkey Tom's video on stream. I will say that his video is very much like a good entry point to like understanding who this guy is, why, like the pattern of behavior he had before he met me, and like the beginning of the drama that he had with me. But that video kind of like ends at like basically the halfway point. So it's kind of like, you know, because like I'm of course kind of like, I really don't care, you know, who covers it as long as they are factual and get the information right.
Yeah.
And Tom basically did that, you know. He did get the information right, and I really got no complaints. If you want to like criticize his editing style or like his motivation for making the video, that is like, I guess, kind of separate, a bit of a separate issue.
Yeah, and it's just Tom's style is not necessarily mine, but I didn't have any problems with like kind of hearing the breakdown of it. But just to kind of like re-clarify, so Plagued Moth, for my audience, Plagued Moth is you would call him like true crime horror.
No. If you tell, he's a Mondo Gore guy. Like if you call him true crime, you're kind of putting him into the same category as like Blame It on George, Nexpo, you know, like those people, right? Like you're kind of putting him, but the guy doesn't do true crime. He just kind of like watches cartel videos and like other shot content. And then like either he'll like do like a video where he explains what's in the video, usually with a lot of factual inaccuracies about its history and, you know, what actually brought it there. And then there are the videos where he is just straight up reacting to it with like a 25% Gaussian blur over the video with the audio uncensored. So I really feel like he belongs more into the category of React Channel and Mondo Gore. Because like that's just the accurate descriptor, because what this guy does isn't true crime.
Yeah.
Lying about people dying or who have died isn't true crime. There's nothing true about it. It's just crime. You're just watching crimes.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into it. So like, basically he's been reported like a billion times by a bunch of different people.
Oh yeah.
All sorts of stuff.
And he's gotten a lot of videos age restricted. He's even admitted like 12 or 13 of his videos are just straight up taken down by YouTube. You know, and another thing that is kind of interesting to note is that if you go like onto his channel, he made a video like titled Amber Alert may be illegal. And then he goes on to explain that some of the footage in that mixtape was created for the purposes of that mixtape, making it like basically material that isn't allowed to be disseminated.
Yeah, snuff.
Right. Meanwhile, he's got a fucking reaction to that same video that was like, I don't know if it's still on his channel, but it was on his channel forever. And he was calling me a pedophile because I told him he should age restrict it.
Yeah.
Because the man watched a video that contained copious amounts of child abuse and thought that it would be acceptable to play the audio uncensored for an audience of people. When meanwhile, when a group full of people from the government watched it, they classified it as CP. So this guy, you know, this guy who's calling me a pedophile, calling people like, you know, he's like the lolicon enforcer or whatever. You know, this is a guy who can straight up watch CP, insist that it isn't CP, and then go back around and be like, actually, it was CP, but what I did wasn't wrong because I didn't know.
Yeah. And so like you and other people have been basically pointing this out, and this guy kind of like he's fucking crazy as shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's been
No,
like
expect
hyper
to get
stalking
fucked
you
with.
and
By the way,
everything.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
but no, yeah.
expect to get fucked with if he figures out about this. He has very thin skin.
I don't give a shit. Mine's thinner.
Yeah, mine's thinner.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's I don't think that's possible.
Let's see. Somebody keeps saying Moth has a copy of Daisy's Destruction. I have no idea what that is. I feel like I don't want to know what that is.
I think I've said this in my own video on the subject,
Mhm.
but I don't think I think literally the day after I called Moth out, I insinuated he might have a copy of Daisy's Destruction. And there's a few pieces of evidence that goes to support this claim.
Mhm.
And the first is that when you look at his trailer for a video he made called or a series of videos or documentaries he made called The Infamous Four, he uses footage from the trailer for Daisy's Destruction. And for those of you who are unaware of what that might entail, when Peter Scully, a CP producer, started distributing this film that he made, um, basically the way that he would disseminated it is that it was like a file, and most of it, or rather the whole like film, was locked behind a password protected zip file, and there was a trailer for what you would get to see,
Ugh.
and the trailer can be viewed as it has been censored by the 60 Minutes documentary that was done on the subject. So you can kind of see it, but it's like all blurred and shit. The
Yeah.
problem is that Moth doesn't use that footage. For some reason, the footage he uses in his own trailer is a higher resolution than the publicly available censored footage that you can find online. Furthermore, the way that it's censored is censored in a completely different way than the 60 Minutes stuff was. So if you use 60 Minutes, it's like, why did you re-censor it?
Yeah.
Especially when he doesn't give a shit about censoring other things. And furthermore, like, if there is like a kosher way of getting this, why can't you explain it without changing your story a billion times?
Mhm. I mean,
Then you have the fact that he admitted to consuming this content regularly by getting spammed it on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and other methods. So yeah, I insinuated that the guy might have some of that footage sitting around because clearly he was fucking editing with it.
yeah. This is the
Like
thing.
it's like there's no explanation for it other than where the fuck did this footage come from? You say 60 minutes, but 60 minutes footage is in a lower resolution than yours.
Yeah. You've got the
You
extra
can't
shit.
you can't upscale that, you know?
No. No,
And
this
this
is
guy
like
isn't.
that's the thing I run into a bunch with this kind of stuff. It's like I covered something sort of similar to this. People are like, why didn't you like try to look for more shit? Like, dude,
By the way,
I don't want to find it. I don't
there's
want to
some
know what
people
the
in
hell else gets
here.
there.
There's some people in here saying that like they don't want it described. Don't worry, I'm not going to describe anything that's in these videos other than does it involve children? Does it involve violence against children? That's the most you're going to get from me. Like that, and I feel like that context is important when we're discussing the media that he is reacting to. This isn't like cartel people like killing like police officers that fucked with them. Nah, these are like 16-year-olds.
Okay.
Like these are like children having violence committed against them while this guy makes Family Guy jokes about it.
Yeah, it's very fucking weird. So like you came across him, and how did that how did that first interaction like start?
Actually, it's fun fact. I kind of just I got autoplayed into him. I was watching a video done by Nick Spears, which was on a not safe for life iceberg. I was kind of going down the rabbit hole of like, okay, so like, what is the most disturbing material you can find on the internet? I watched several Mudahar videos, which eventually got me autoplayed into a Nick Spears video. And Nick Spears did Plague Moth's Iceberg.
Hmm.
It eventually became very evident that Plague Moth's Iceberg is straight up just like a pipeline to get you to Google child, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cartel stuff and regular internet stuff at the top, and then it's like stuff that happens to kids, and then it's stuff that's like really bad stuff that happens to kids. It's just like it gets progressively worse until eventually we're just talking about CP stuff. And it's, I mean, if you go to Reddit and you check out the iceberg, like r/icebergs or whatever, they have a rule where you're like straight up not allowed to include illegal things on your iceberg
Yeah.
because it encourages people to Google it.
To go
And
hunt it down and
that's,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and that's basically what Moth did. Now I didn't really know that Moth made this iceberg, but it's through that metadata that I got autoplayed into a video that Moth made of a video that he titled 99 Stomps Counting a Plague Moth, which
Hmm.
is basically just him reacting to CCTV footage of like a 15-year-old being stomped to death.
Like, where do
And he
you?
like watches the video twice and he counts the stomps at the second time like he's like fucking the Count from Sesame Street. Like one,
Ugh.
like this guy's like literally pogging as he watches a child get murdered. And then he later went on to say that she didn't die, but everything I could find on the internet says that she did die. So,
Hmm.
Moff's the kind of person that will just lie about other people's deaths if it makes him look better. But yeah, it was that video that made me discover Moth, and that's when I started doing research into him because I was planning on putting him on the worst YouTubers list that I do every year because it's like the dude's literally watching children die and making Family Guy jokes about it. So that was the initial intention. But when I did my research and it got into like the Daisy stuff and it got into some of the other things he was doing, and then when it eventually dawned on me that this man was literally charging $5 for the uncensored reactions to some of these videos,
Hmm.
that's when I reported it to Patreon. And Patreon removed him like within the same like 3-day period. He
Yeah.
initially claimed that it was due to an age verification issue, but it later became pretty fucking evident that it was over to the gore videos he was sharing in his Patreon. Sorry, not on Patreon. Sorry, you have to pay Patreon, right?
Yeah.
$5. That gets you into the Discord server. And then when you're in the Discord server and you have that Patreon role, you got access to a room called Super Secret Video Room. And in that room contained videos that have been removed by YouTube, as well as uncensored videos of his reactions from like 2022 and back.
It's yuck.
Yeah. He also said in his post too, he also said that if you DM'd him, he would give you like just the mixtapes he was watching, like just straight up. And I mean, like, I can't really confirm that other than I've heard from his former patrons that if you did DM him, he would give you like a Google Drive link.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that like some of the stuff that might be on these, that, like nobody's been to fucking prison yet, and it seems like
I
he's like maybe a little bit worried about that because he's engages in pretty active harassment against anyone who starts bringing this stuff up, and particularly he's upset with you.
Yeah, I got in like 30 privacy complaints, and like a few I think 1 or 2 DMCA's. YouTube stepped in on both because he's like, this video is my copyright because he's harassing me. And it's like, you dipshit. Like his own incompetence is really his worst folly. But yeah, he goes sicko mode. Anyone who has anything negative to say about him, he doesn't like really care about how old you are, like what your creed, what your race is. The
Hmm.
guy will fucking go after you while like claiming that he is the arbiter for the LGBT. Now, I'm not trying to make it political in that sense.
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear that Moth uses the LGBT as like a shield from criticism. Like when he says that, it's like to position himself as an ally and
Hmm.
paint his enemies as like Republicans in the hopes that people will just not look into it and just kind of go at it, like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy's a Republican. Yeah, he hates my favorite creator for being gender fluid. Man, so that's kind of his usual MO when it comes to that regard. There was a instance where like one of his former fans who he said that he would stop selling the reactions to basically, I don't even think this person was a former fan. He wouldn't stop misgendering them, and then said that his wife actually said that he wouldn't stop misgendering them and blasting that to their audience until like they deleted every post about them and got everybody else to delete their posts.
Hmm.
Like these people like engage in blackmail against a 16-year-old, like if it like suits their kind of agenda.
And so what's he specifically doing to you? I know to hop into
Um,
that.
I've well, he's impersonated people on Twitter using sock puppets.
Yeah.
He's repeatedly accused me of being friends with his former mod. This is actually something that requires some explanation.
Mhm.
So Moth used to have a mod in his server, and his name was Fergie. Now, I didn't know who the fuck a Fergie was until Moth kind of started repeatedly bringing him up in relation to me. So then I had to start doing some research. Moth made a video like a year or two ago talking about how he discovered who this guy Ripper was. Now, Ripper is like a dark web mixtape distributor who often will mix, according to Moth. I didn't do any research into it, so I'm not your expert, but apparently, like CP and audio from CP would get leaked into these mixtapes made by Ripper. I'm not really sure who the fuck Ripper is because Moth has on separate occasions claims that it's a group of people. When he first made his video, he claimed that it was this guy Fergie, and Fergie was this mod that Moth used to have in his Discord server.
Mhm.
At first, Moth would defend Fergie whenever he got into trouble for whenever Fergie would act inappropriately with other users. Like this Fergie guy apparently had a lot of drama in his server, and for a while, Moth like would defend him with like the same fervor that he attacks me. But eventually, I think Fergie did something or said something against him, and then Moth started claiming that Fergie was Ripper. Now,
Mhm.
here I come along like a year after that drama, and all of a sudden, Fergie's my best friend. Fergie
Yeah.
was in my server, and I let Fergie have sexual conversations with minors in my server. And it's like, I don't even fucking know who Fergie is. And he was Moth's mod. I have a community run public server.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean like I have final say over everything, but I got like 20 mods in there made up of my most active members, and they ban people as they see fit, right?
Yeah.
It's
Pretty
community
similar
ran
situation to what I have.
because I can't be there all day.
Mhm.
And for like a whole 7 months, I had the fucking server on lockdown because Moth and his fans would join my server and spam it with gore.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to use on auto mod. So while I was working on getting my own shit together, I just had the invite links to my server like completely just shut down until
Mhm.
I figured out a way to be able to stop those raids.
Yeah, trying to do like raid protection right off the bat is like one of the most important things for when I started up. I didn't like even before I had anyone. I'm like, I just don't feel like dealing with that. So,
This is the first time I ever had to deal with a raid of that caliber, and it
mhm.
would just be like, I'd wake up and it's like, oh, 15 people joined a server and just start spamming gore. And there
Yeah.
was like, and the mod was like really struggling to deal with it because it's like they have to see it for a little bit before it gets deleted. And it's not fair to ask my mods to have to look at that kind of content.
No, and it's kind of crazy. Like, that you even gonna deal with this shit anyway. And so he's
Yeah.
got this basically like they're saying in chat too. This Ripper guy is probably fake, and it might be Plague himself. So like, this is a guy that has a direct line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
To this
know if
kind of
Ripper's
material. How do
fake.
you even how do you think he even establishes something like that? Does he ever go over like,
I have
hey,
talked to people in his circle, and apparently Moth is like a lot of mixtape people actually know who Moth is because Moth is the only guy on YouTube who's really willing to react to it and like give credit. So it's like when he reacts to their stuff, it's like they notice,
mm-hmm,
right? So he's kind of got that line to those people. And then also I know that he has some people in his community that are most certainly getting access to illegal content
mm-hmm.
and at the very least passing him along the stuff that is safe to react to on YouTube.
So this guy's
I don't
kind of like,
necessarily know how much stuff he's consumed, just that he's self-admitted to being accidentally shown bits of CP through his work. And I honestly think I don't need to say this, but if your job requires you to be exposed to CP and you're not a FBI agent, maybe you should change your workflow.
yeah, and it sort of goes to my assumption with this is that when you're set up that way, even if you're not intentionally doing it or provably intentionally doing it. It seems like you're existing as an advertising route for, child abuse materials. Like
Yeah.
your entire existence is basically being a trailer cutter and reviewer for CSAM, which is
Yeah.
fucking wild,
Yeah, and I need to quickly reference here. I don't think I've ever like seen a video where Moth has reacted to something that is like explicitly sexual towards children.
Mm-hmm.
He repeatedly talks about Daisy's destruction, which obviously it's like sadism and shit. But when he watches stuff like related to children, it's like, oh, what horrible things can happen to a baby that isn't sexual? And we all know that there are people who
Yeah.
like get off on that shit.
I don't
And
really
we
think there's even a need to draw a line there. It's like you're not an outright pedophile, just a person that likes to watch other snuff films that are non-sexual involving children.
Right. Even if there are people who like in the eyes of the law, I guess. I'm not sure if this is true, so because I'm not a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
but like if it's like abuse and violence, it's whatever. You can request it to be taken down, and you can use like the legal system to do that. But if you don't like call it out, or if you're from a third world country and don't realize that Americans are watching like someone close to you die, like that's technically kosher, even if people are using it as like fetish material. But Moth will react to that and be like, well, it's technically okay, and I'm shining a light on it,
Mm-hmm.
by making Family Guy jokes.
Very weird.
A lot of this guy doesn't have a lot of like friends, like everyone in the horror community outside of some like really delusional people do not like this guy.
Yeah.
He keeps saying that he's like cool with Mutahar, but like he'll pretend to be Slime Beast and like make fun of Mutahar using sock puppet accounts.
Mm-hmm.
He's just this like notorious liar, and I
We were,
need to say that it's really hard to figure out what's true and what isn't true with him, because if you take him at his face value, you're gonna be wrong because he'll lie about it. He'll lie about things he doesn't need to lie about, and he'll lie about things that he does need to lie about.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he lies in such a way that makes him seem like he's actually worse than what he is.
Yeah.
Which leads to a lot of misconceptions about what kind of a person this guy is. And that leads to him feeling justified in being vicious towards these people. He can't just say, I was wrong, I misworded myself, that didn't happen, I was lying to be cool. He needs to call everyone who calls him out a groomer and a pedophile, so that way everybody knows that the only people who hate Moth are pedophiles and groomers, or are part of like a secret Illuminati cabal to like take down his channel or something.
Which is pretty crazy, considering like his living situation, how he makes his money anyway, right?
Yeah. He's mad at me because like he was making like 10 grand a month selling the reactions to these videos.
That's fucking way too much money.
Yeah, and then
that
went to like
nobody's paying 10 grand a month for any other like behind the scenes thing for someone else's Patreon or
right.
their YouTube channel. Like that's clearly there's some draw that's maybe a little bit deeper than just like, oh hey man, I did some research for this. You want to see my research notes?
Yeah, and I talked to Cold Raven too, and he has like analytics for this. Moth told Cold Raven to sell his because he used to do the same thing, reacting to gore videos and stuff like that, except he like actually age restricted it and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. There's like a difference between like reacting to poorly censored gore on YouTube and then reacting to poorly censored gore on YouTube with the audio completely uncensored, and then not thinking to yourself, should I age restrict this?
Yeah.
And Moth's like, oh, I never knew you could do it manually, even though it like literally fucking asks you, is this made for kids? Should this be age restricted?
And dude, the age restriction is crazy on YouTube right now, because I get stuff age restricted for my bad like language, a little potty mouth here and there. And then you find out like guys like this have got just the most rank shit going, and they're not age restricted.
The Amber Alert video, which according to Moth, is like actually like illegal to consume. He consumed that, put it on, put the uncensored audio on YouTube. Some of the violence that happens in there are against infants, and he didn't age restrict it. And it took me 3 months of pestering him and his mod team to age restrict the Amber Alert video.
Mm-hmm.
And for doing that, for my effort, trying to not have that audio fucking autoplayed at children.
Yeah.
Now I say children because when it's not age restricted like that, that can be accessed from a school computer. Yeah. And there are also multiple teenagers and younger people in Moth's communities, in Moth's server.
Which is weird as shit.
Yeah. He had someone that he had a mini mod, as he called it. That person went by the name of Churi Tears. And that person was 13, 14 when they met Moth. And Moth would be joking about furry bugs and shit with that person. There's screenshots and archives of him saying that shit to an actual kid. And I understand that he clearly the way that it was said, it wasn't said as an actual invitation. I don't think he was trying to groom him, but Moth literally just doesn't give a shit what he says or does in front of a child.
So, and I think that's that's an issue that I'm starting to see is actually a major problem, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess maybe throughout the entirety of the YouTube creator community, particularly where I am, with lefty politics shit. We've had a bunch of issues.
Real Bosch type, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Where these people are running these servers and letting kids in, but also being we're extremely sex positive. You can talk about anything. It's I don't think there should be anything on your server if you let under 18 in that you couldn't legitimately go as an adult, just walk into a high school and do, because it feels like you're inviting people. If you have okay, we let under 18 people into this server, you're kind of inviting them in because they're going to show up. I mean, there's kids on the fucking internet. And then 99% of the time, it seems like at least one or two of them are oh, I'm actually 13, I'm 14, I'm 15. And they are in the sexual discussion area, and they're posting this and they're sharing shit and downloading. It's weird, man. It's weird as fuck.
One thing that makes the situation even more fucked up, because it just always gets more fucked up, is Moth had age verification in the server.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get access to the IRL nudes chat, you had to show ID. And you had to do so in front of a computer, usually with a Plague Moth video or the actual time or whatever, actually there. And I've seen the process. I actually got photos of people actually doing this. Some people would even show him their ID the day they turn 18. Someone who was a child yesterday suddenly posting nudes of themselves on their 18th birthday. Exactly.
That's mad weird.
And so Moth was thought, maybe I should check IDs for the nudes and stuff like that. But if you give him $5, he won't ask for shit to see the gore.
Yeah. Is it by IRL nudes? Do you mean people just posting random photographs of other people or of themselves?
Themselves. So he advertises being really positive to sex workers who want to show their stuff. Moth on his own birthday even tweeted out asking for people to send nudes of themselves to share with him and his wife. There's a lot of Moth engaging with fans to get that kind of material out of them.
And there's been I'm not going to say who it was, and he shut it down, but I've seen that in other lefty servers as well. And it's not even a left. I hope it's not. I mean, I don't know. I hope we're not the only ones that are doing it on our side of the aisle. But I also, it seems that some of the people try to attach this quote unquote sex positivity to certain lefty attributes.
In an 18 plus sphere, I think that sex positivity is fine.
It's fine. But there's also
you're I don't need to remove the kids from my server. I keep all of the gore where they can get it and all of the nudes where they can't get it. So it's okay.
But also,
I was watching bros get curb stomped since I was 12. It didn't make me up.
But also, I think it's weird that they're asking for nudes from their community. I know we have all this other crazy shit that he just actively does, But just in addition, I just as a creator myself, and you could probably speak to this because you're even larger, but like having a actively send me naked pictures of yourself called to your fan base seems like it's on its
Wrong.
own a really dangerous door to open.
It's why we criticized Pro Jared.
Did Pro Jared did that? I don't know anything about Pro Jared.
Pro Jared had like a Tumblr where he'd ask nudes from fans, and like the big thing that almost got him canceled was that some people were claiming that they were minors when they sent nudes to this guy, and that you looked at it. It turned out that did not happen, but it's not like he was fucking checking.
Yeah.
So he believed it could have happened. And that's why Pro Jared was able to do that comeback video and be like, actually, I'm not a pedophile.
That's a crazy comeback video.
Just a fucking weirdo.
That's as far as the I'm not a pedophile video, like allegations video comeback goes. That's like, when the bullet did hit me, it was accurate, but I survived. I
learned my fucking lesson about that stuff very early on, like right when Discord was becoming a thing. I made my own Discord server, and like at first we had an NSFW room for like, again, it wasn't really for nudes. It was for like, because like I'm a horror channel, right? And some of the stuff that we cover is more on the disturbing end. And I figured, hey, I'll allow art that is more like violent or bloody or whatever, that's in the same tune of my videos, and we'll have that quarantined to the NSFW room where you need to confirm you're over 18 in order to use it. That is not the case. You just need to say yes that you are. There's no like verification, or you don't even need to have an account that says that you're 18. You can just say, yes, I'm 18 and see it. And then on top of that, people were like repeatedly pestering me about what kind of like stuff can be posted. Can I post my lewds here? And I'm like, it's a fucking YouTuber server. If you guys need to jerk off, there are like
the whole rest of the internet. It's the whole rest of the internet.
Yeah. So I had that up for like, I want to say 3-4 days back in like 2017, 2018. And then I removed it and said it was a mistake.
Yeah, same.
we have
same for ours. I got one of my own. I have my own little hate watcher channel, and they're like desperately trying to find it because I think something like bad happened. But it was just like ew, and like way too much to deal with. We turned on.
There's so much moderation that goes into it, and then like you get the one guy who's really into lollies, and then the moment they pop into this,
oh yeah,
you know that
I didn't have any of that. Thank fucking God.
I didn't, but I know people who have had to get rid of their NSFW chat because of people like that. You know, it's just like, it doesn't really matter who you are, even if you don't endorse that content. You know, there's always fucking weirdos out there, and if it's a public server, literally any of them could join on any number of accounts.
Yeah. And there's not much of a benefit for it really either. It was kind of crazy. I was trying to be accommodating because I have my server's mostly for actually like art and stuff, and then also talking about the YouTube shit. And so people were like, I want an NSFW channel because I make some NSFW art. I won't put any like sex shit, just like, you know, draw a boobie or two. And I'm like, okay, that seems like it makes sense. And then it's like I shot a signal flare for weirdos. Like they didn't even watch the show. They weren't a part of my actual community. They were just like, oh yeah, is there an NSFW server in here? Can I pop in there? I got a fucking whole bag full of shit I want to shake out into the fucking public sphere. It was very, very weird. We shut it down like I think in maybe if it lasted a month, I'd be stunned. I think it was just a couple weeks.
I do want to say that when it comes to the IRL nude stuff for Moth, he was like actively checking IDs for that. I'm okay with that. What I'm really not okay with is like encouraging people who like were children just a few days ago.
Getting them at the door. Basically.
Yeah, like my God, if that was my daughter and some dude was waiting for them to turn 18 before, like, you know,
but
we call that orbiting, you know, and it's not like a good look.
But particularly with the kind of content you're talking about, like violence and sexual violence, I think someone in my chat said that he takes pride in a bunch of abuse survivors being in his community and stuff, and it just seems like
he'll say that, but he lies.
I mean, I would hope so if he's going to be asking them for nudes. Like
I
that's
mean,
kind of the
there are definitely people who do trauma like relate to him, like because Moth will talk about how he was abused as a child,
Mhm.
and then he'll watch this content. And I don't know if you've ever been into Gore Sphere or know anyone from there or understand what watching that content does to your brain, but you know, when you watch people like get brutalized in the most horrific ways possible on the regular, the world feels like a very dark place. And a lot of times people will do this shit as a way to like cope
Mhm.
with what's happened to them or as like a way to explore a morbid curiosity that leads into like full blown like depression and shit like that, you know? So there's like a lot of people who are like straight up addicted to gore that hover around this guy because he's, you know, supplying them with the fix.
Mhm. And I think kind of on that note, it does feel like obviously a lot of this isn't illegal necessarily, strictly speaking, depending on where you are,
I mean,
or
him
enforceable.
impersonating people and posting our addresses is very much
Yes,
not cool.
but ultimately, like
I've
this,
talked
that.
to defamation lawyers too about this,
Mhm.
because I wanted to sue him just to get him to shut the fuck up because he wouldn't leave me alone. And basically, I was told, well, the guy is homeless
Yeah,
and he's got dependents, so the likelihood of being able to recover, even if I won, is like
next to
next to
no. Yeah.
zero. And that means that the lawyer would not be willing to do it on contingency or pro bono.
Hmm. And I
And
think. Oh, sorry.
it's like I have a case, and if Moth won the lottery tomorrow, I'd be a very rich man. But as it stands, he's a homeless dude who just is willing to burn his own life down for the purposes of making me feel a little bit more shitty because I'm the boogeyman that ruined everything.
Yeah, but I think
And I mean, he goes after Slime Beast more than he does me, but that's because Slime Beast doesn't give a fuck and fucks with him all day.
yeah. But I think the point I was getting to, I wanted to make was a little bit different, and that is like the content specifically that he goes over. Obviously like gore stuff. If it's not necessarily like assault materials, that's fully illegal. It is legal, and people can cover it. So do you think like it kind of
I'm,
falls on communities at large to sort of police how the discussions about this sort of stuff kind of
nah, there are
happen?
people who do cover this stuff and do so pretty respectfully.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Um,
for the people that don't, if YouTube's not stopping them, if the police, they can't do anything because it's illegal. What sort of does the responsibility does the extent community that covers similar stuff and goes into similar spaces have to kind of like say, hey, that's enough. Like kind of point out this kind of individual, shine a
it just
spotlight on him.
a lot of the people that cover this stuff either don't really give a fuck or just don't consider themselves to be in the same community as Moth. There's not
Mm,
a lot of people who react like, people, like, how people used to react to Two Girls, One Cup?
once
Like,
upon a
that's
time,
Moth.
yeah.
That's Moth. That's like a lot of Moth videos. So a lot of people aren't even in the same category as this guy. The
Hmm.
problem is that YouTube will like take down like 50 videos. They'll age restrict stuff, but they won't like get rid of him for some reason. He's not monetized, by the way.
Yeah,
That's partially why he's homeless. It's because like he was making all of his income built out of a sandcastle.
yeah. Which
And
which
then the tide came in, and I happened to be the guy that reported him. Now,
and most of it is like this trafficking in illicit or semi-illicit material seems to be his main income. But we said Patreon kind of cracked him on that. But do you
yep.
still think he's making like several $1,000s a month
Oh,
via other techniques?
he's got like Subscribe Star, but if he was making several grand a month off of that, he wouldn't be asking for money as much as he is.
Fair
Like he's
enough.
constantly begging for money. He's constantly using my name and quote unquote harassment I did to get people to go to his GoFundMe. He's raised like $5,000-6,000 telling people I attacked his children.
Jesus, did you?
No,
Okay.
I specifically went out of my way not to mention him or his wife's name, but Moth will actively use his child and their illness as like a shield to the
Hmm.
point where if you try to ignore it, it feels like you're leaving something out because the guy talks about it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Guy was making $10,000 a month for like years. And the moment he loses his income, all of a sudden he doesn't have a savings. He doesn't have health insurance. And this kid's basically going to die of diabetes because he can't make money off of selling the gore videos anymore.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm sorry that you're a shitty dad. Like,
McDonald's exists.
you know, like I don't have those kids. I don't have those. I can't even imagine what kind of income that he needs to worry about it. But like, I'm sorry, like, get yourself on some food stamps, get yourself built back up, because watching children die on YouTube, it was never going to be a sustainable career.
And kind of like going forward from this, we've recovered a bunch of the Tom stuff, but you've told me that you're, I think, still putting out a video kind of going over a bunch of shit that you found out on your own.
The new
and
stuff.
Sort of, the new stuff and the research that you did. You don't have to go into any of it. It's kind of like a teaser, but that is a video that's coming up if you want to talk about any of where you're going to go from here.
Yeah, I'll bring it up because, like, I'm going to go, like, way more in depth and have it be way more edited, so someone who consumes this isn't exactly going to be getting the same experience.
No. You won't have to listen to my dumb ass while you're watching the plague or the PCR
exactly.
video.
But I am working on an update that is basically going to be talking about some of the hypocrisy that this guy engaged in. Like I said, he was he's joking about furry plugs with like teenagers in his own server within like the last few years. And, you know, he even made that teenager a mod, yet he has the gall to sit there and say that I'm allowing sexual conversations of minors in my publicly ran Discord server. Which, again, I've never deleted my general chat, and all the chats that are in that server are publicly viewable by everybody. And if there is a hidden room, it's like the mod room, and all of those fucking mods can see in there and can verify that I haven't deleted any of those rooms or like anything. Like, all that shit goes all the way back to its server creation. Meanwhile, Moth will delete general chat like once every couple of months because shit keeps happening. I want to go over that a little bit, but I also want to bring up the fact that Moth has been impersonating his detractors while posting their address as his detractors, while writing fan fiction about us trying to hurt his children.
Like, this is what you got into with me earlier.
I mean, I got screenshots and everything. I archived all of it too, so if he tries to delete it, it's no big deal. We got it in archive.org. But yeah, he's been pretending to be Slime Beast for like months, and it probably even longer than that, because like he gets accounts banned and deleted all the time. So this is likely a third or fourth generation Slime Beast impersonation account. But you know, in this impersonation account, he actively doxes Slime Beast. He uses his real information for like the info. He interacts with an account that is doxing Slime Beast's mom, and he uses this account to comment on like my posts and other people's posts. And while pretending to be Slime Beast, he'll like defend Dr. Dick Respect. He'll like defend Lolicon, and then he'll like make a video and be like, "See, this is what the Slime Beast is like. He defends Lolicon. He's a Republican who defends Dr. Dick Respect, and he hates Mudahar." And it's like, this is all shit he wrote. And the reason why we know this is because in the video where he was like, "Look, see what Slime Beast is doing," he forgot to log out of the account.
Yeah, and you went over this with me. You got like screenshots. It's like clearly.
Yeah, he forgot to log out of the account. And just so you know, all this stuff that he's doing is highly illegal if you have money. Now, if you have money, you can sue him and get him in big trouble. But I don't got $70,000 to throw at a homeless man with way too much time on his hands. And if I had $70,000 to do that, it would be going to my mom's cancer treatment.
Jeez.
So, you know, I'm sorry that I can't sue him.
But I wish I could. Fair enough. But you're going to be going into all of this.
I'm just waiting. You know, I'm going to be going into all this. And I'm telling you, dude, if that guy wins the lottery, you know, I got a great case.
Yeah. Right.
And it's so funny how this guy's like kind of become a lol cow like over time, because it's like, you look at his claims against me and it's like, TCR, have you interacted with children inappropriately? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't really have anything else to go off of. So, because like Moth will like say a billion things in a video and show no screenshots. Or if he shows a screenshot, it's like unrelated.
Yeah.
So he'll be like, TCR lets people interact sexually with each other in the server. And then he'll show a screenshot of someone asking me about the NSFW server from like 6-7 years ago. And me being like, yeah, we have one. And then another guy right after that was like, nudes and everything. And he like conveniently cuts out the part where I'm like, nah, this is just for like horror pictures.
Yeah. No.
I never wanted nudes in my server. I'm, as a grown ass man who doesn't engage with that kind of material, I just never thought that my channel was like going to be the place to discuss it or, like show it, because like I talk about horror, not like that kind of, not the get down and whatever.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's just strange how many people don't put that barrier up between themselves and their fans, or their community and that kind of content.
It's completely parasocial.
It very much
I cut
is.
myself off, like I like to keep a nice separation. I have my patrons and I'll like hang out in there. I'll play video games. I'll watch some cartoons. And those people are rad. And, I eventually do like form friendships around that. But it's like, I don't like ask for nudes from fans.
I know.
I don't
it's
have
weird
like
that
a weird ass.
It's weird that has to be a statement that like, in this era of the internet, you kind of got to get to where it's like, don't send me. I don't want to see naked pictures of any of you.
Yeah.
I'm not remotely interested. I don't want to roll the dice on that, nor do I. Even if you did, like the legal aspect of it is freak show anyway. Like, how the fuck do you even know what you're getting sent? And it just seems so stupid to do, especially like once you're in the spot as a creator. But like, creating a server where you're like, yeah, you can send me nude pictures of yourself. You can talk to me about all the tell me all of your fears and secrets. Send me nude pictures of yourself. Tell me about things that you want to have done to you. Also, here's where you can purchase illicit, violent materials that depict the most psychotic shit of all time. It's just a recipe for beyond disaster.
I don't understand why the guy wouldn't draw the line at like children. Like, if you're gonna react to that content, like, why the fuck would you like? And he's like doubled down too. Like, he's even like tried re-uploading his like banned videos into like a giant compilation just so he could try to get around YouTube. He's tried re-uploading like clips on the Instagram that had been previously banned or age restricted, and then not age restricted on Instagram. Like, he'll scream, if it bleeds, it leads into the sky, and then also claim that he's super respectful and everyone doesn't have issues with his coverage. And it's like he's a walking contradiction, and he will say like his actual opinion is he doesn't give a fuck if he's making money and if he's like doing the bare minimum, because this guy doesn't have any actual talent. Him sitting in a car watching a gore video is about the best kind of video he knows how to make. And if you try to take him out of that comfort zone, he's going to tank in views. He has there's no real personality to work off of, because, that's all he does. Watches gore. So he's really kind of trapped in it. So his actual opinion is, if it bleeds, it leads. I don't really give a fuck. I hope that the victims see my videos and like don't care, that kind of thing. But what he'll publicly say is like, oh, well, a lot of victims reach out to me and say that they liked it when I made Family Guy jokes about their daughter being stomped to death. They liked it when I was like memeing on their death. They thought that it was cool. And who are you to judge me? And it's not like Moth is asking for permission. I mean, like, how the fuck do you ask for permission from some lady from Brazil who had her face split open? I'm just sorry, but there's no way that he's getting permission to do that. So it's always a forgiveness not permission sort of thing. And when he does get any amount of feedback, like I think he covered the Ronnie McNutt thing, and from what I watched in that video, it was pretty respectful outside of the thumbnail.
Yeah.
The thumbnail was just like 2 seconds before he ended his own life, and like just a screenshot of that snapshot in time. But like the actual video himself is like him talking about like mental illness, the reasons why he did it, and why you need to care about people more. And if all of his videos were like that, yeah, a lot more people would be like fine with it. But those videos aren't what generates views. It's him and his reactions.
Yeah. Do you think?
And
I think I might be. Even I might be topping out on talking about stuff that Plague Moth looks at.
yeah,
with due respect to my audience.
Yeah, it kind of fucking sucks. You know, we
Yeah.
okay, we can definitely agree that this guy, he's lame, and what he does is lame.
Yeah.
Everyone in the horror sphere doesn't necessarily like this guy. I've talked to a lot of people.
Mhm.
You know, he's got domestic abuse under his belt. He's like the shit with him asking for news from fans was a big reason why a lot of larger creators cut him off. Like it's not like this stuff isn't going unnoticed. And Moth,
No.
you know, he'll go sicko mode on Twitter, like, why won't these people talk to me anymore? And it's like,
Yeah, it seems like
you got a domestic violence thing under your belt, and you ask for nudes from your fans, and you watch gore.
It kind of like overplaying your hand too. It has a similar feeling to the like Mama Max guy, where you're kind of involving yourself and making your entire life about this horrific shit, but also like not treating it with due respect, and then begging people to like, hey, you need to pay attention to this too. Like this
Really
is
not
important.
sure who's worse. Because I mean, like, okay,
I think I'll give it to Plague Moth.
Yeah, like
from what little I know of Mama Max, even I think I might have to give it to Plague.
Mama Max would lie about like ongoing investigations, insert himself into it, and then misrepresent his involvement in getting those people arrested if they were arrested at all.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, he was intentionally inserting himself into situations where he was shooting the prosecution in the foot.
Yeah, which I think is often the case with these like internet investigators. You see this with the even like something that's a little less crazy, the dog pack guy. Who's talking about all the Mr. Beast stuff, and this guy is kind of overselling his position and maybe making shit up, and you know, talking to these witnesses and stuff and putting their stories out, in like doing no due diligence and making stuff up about them way before any like deeper investigation goes. It's kind of like blowing the entire thing.
I've covered like stuff like this in the past, like in my worst YouTubers list and stuff like that. But I typically won't cover something unless if I know like absolutely nothing is going to get done unless if I say something.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in a lot of instances, you know, it's like, oh, this guy from the UK was sexting someone from the Philippines.
Yeah.
And this happened like 5 years ago. And it's like, there's even though I have all this evidence, even though I have all the screenshots, even though we got everything archived, getting Interpol to act is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they won't. And
even
if you get someone to the point where it's like they could act, they might say, well, we're just going to wait until we can give them more prison time because this is only like 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's like in those situations, I feel like the morally responsible thing to do is to alert the community that there's a predator. And even if nothing happens legally, at the very least, socially, people can have the tools they need to know what they're going into before interacting with these people.
I agree. Pretty much straightforward.
Like that's the only instance where you should be covering it, because like I've covered like the Toon Critic stuff, or rather, I didn't cover it. I was behind the scenes,
the Toon
spamming
Critic?
The police. Yeah, he was a guy in the Brony. He was in the Brony community.
That you've said enough. You've said enough.
Yeah. Long story short,
I just believe you.
he was sexting a minor, and even though we had like the entire Skype archived, and everything, the victim was willing to prosecute. You know, the people like the FBI in his area, which I called the 2 closest FBI places, like stations near him. I called for like 2 weeks until eventually I got a hold of a detective
Yeah.
who basically was like, "Hey, we're watching him and we're waiting to see if he does anything worse."
Fair
Meanwhile,
enough.
he's still out trying to come back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was years ago. So it's like, if you don't have a high enough conviction, or if it's not like a neighborhood kind of thing, internet crimes just a lot of police just don't have the tools required to investigate this or prosecute it.
Yeah.
Especially on the local level. And if it's on an international level, it's not going to get investigated unless if it's like high priority or like worth the manpower to do.
Mhm.
And that's just what sucks about it. You know, we live in a world where all these horrible things can happen, and basically through politics, nothing gets done.
It's a pain in the ass, you know. We need a higher focus on like victim crime and stuff, and really start pushing
Internet
police.
crime specifically.
Yeah, internet crimes specifically
Because
too,
it's like,
because we don't have people that are specialized in even tracking those things down. Not to the rate that the things happen to actually kind of interdict
you
them
know,
before they become a serious issue.
I've had to, like, I've gotten some seriously concerning messages from Plague Moth where I've like had to call the police, where he's like, "I'm gonna drive down to your area, or I'm gonna go to this event that you're going to and fucking WWE your ass."
Yeah,
And I would have to call the police, and it's like, okay, so this happened on the internet. Well, then why don't you stop being on the internet? And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's my job.
yeah. They hit you with the Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you can't handle being on the internet, and it's like, the guy is threatening to beat me up and like have it, and he's like telling his fans that it's okay to shoot pedophiles, and then immediately calling me a pedophile.
Yeah,
Like, I understand the sentiment. No one wants to defend pedophiles. I just don't believe in necessarily vigilante justice in
hmm,
that sense, and especially against someone who you're falsely accusing of being a pedophile.
true.
Like Moth will do that shit where he's like, "I think TCR's a pedophile. I know he's a pedophile. He engages sexually with minors in his Discord. I'm not going to show any of it. I'll just say it.
Yeah,
And also, I think it's okay to bully and kill pedophiles." And it's like,
just setting
I'll
everybody on you.
you explain that to a police officer, though, man, who cares? Why don't you just block him? Well, I do. He just gets around the block. He'll make alternate sock puppet accounts.
New
I've
Slime Beast
gotten,
account.
yeah, there's that Slime Beast account, but also I've had my own impersonations.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had two, and one of them, the one that the one that was being used for the longest time, got banned, and then the day it got banned, a new one popped up, and that one immediately was banned for posting my address. Like, it's like, who the fuck is
Incessant.
doing this but Plague Moth? Who
Yeah.
gives a shit? Who think, like, because like the fucking account was called TCRX Fergie, and it's like, who the fuck says that but Plague Moth?
Mm-hmm.
Turkey Tom isn't saying anything about me and Fergie. No one's saying anything about me and Fergie but Plague Moth, and maybe like two of his fans. So it's like, and then you also have the fact that Plague Moth is confirmed to have been impersonating Slime Beast. So I've gotten impersonation accounts. Slime Beast has gotten impersonation accounts. Lazy Bedhead has gotten impersonation accounts. They all type like each other, and they all accuse us of the same stuff Plague Moth accuses of. And at least one of those accounts, we know for a fact, was operated by Plague Moth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how long do I have to play stupid before I can just say the guy's been impersonating me to spread and disseminate my docs?
Yeah, the dude comes off as a massive piece of shit, man. And I really hope your video pops the lid on it, but whoever knows what's gonna happen.
Tom's video got 1 million views, and Moth's been losing like 1,000 subs like every like week or so. I'm just waiting for the day he loses so many subs and I gain so many subs that I surpass him.
Mm-hmm. It would be
like it's funny too how everyone
does he have
thought,
more than you?
Yeah,
you have
by like 100K.
Right? Oh man,
he had like 100K more than me.
Damn.
Like that's another thing too. A lot of people think I was punching down on Moth because his production value is so shit.
He sounds like he's smaller than you. In my mind, I think of him as like a 10K guy.
But nah, he's 420K. Or was 420K.
He's been getting cleaned at a K a day since
like a K a week, I think. He I think he's at 14K or 414K. And it's because like people keep making videos about them and people are starting to realize the grift. There's a lot of people there though who are just there because of like straight up like gore addiction.
Yeah.
These people are a lot of the people who consume Moth content are addicted to gore, and they don't realize that there's a problem with repeatedly subjecting yourself to the worst that humanity has to offer on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's something I kind of experienced. I think I've told you this. I've told everyone else this too. I used to do some ghostwriting in the true crime world, podcast edition, and you really did see it. Once I started like paying attention to the people that talked about it, and it's not like all true crime people. I'm talking about podcast world true crime. It's a little bit different, I guess, than YouTube.
Where they make like a new podcast every day and they're
basically, yeah, they just go, they hop from like, they want to hear like, I want to hear your take on Jeffrey Dahmer, this guy's take on Jeffrey Dahmer. I want to hear this Ed Gein. I want to hear like people that have heard like 700 different versions of the same serial killers killing the same 14 people over and over and over again. It's like at a certain point, man, how many times do you have to hear about this person being like assaulted or brutalized or cut into pieces and stuff? And like, what are you getting from it? And it might not be necessarily that the person's bad. You know what I mean? But I don't think that like everybody that smokes cigarettes is bad, but it's clearly doing something to you that might have a long lasting effect. What is this consumption, this consumptive habit that you have? Like, what are you going to lose after so much time of engaging in it?
Yeah. And the answer is you lose a lot of your sanity. Like literally I watched Moth's uncensored videos that were on his not on his Patreon, on his Discord through the Patreon. And I watched every single one of those because I wanted to confirm if they had what it said it had. Now, there was never any instances of like straight up like CP or CSEM. But it was like the kind of thing that made me severely depressed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like the images that I saw, to the point where I started going to therapy, which I was able to do for free because I'm poor as shit. So I got I went to therapy after like doing that stuff. Like when Moth was like calling me a file and like sounding off on Twitter for months, I was like off of YouTube, like off the internet, like getting therapy, working on getting my driver's license, getting a job, that kind of thing. Because I knew that I didn't want my next video to pay my rent. Because it's going to be the Moth video. And I feel like Moth shouldn't be paying my rent. Moth should be paying for my drinks.
That's a pretty healthy outlook, at least.
And I took like a 6-month sabbatical because it was just like, I've never been lied about so much in my life. I've had people like hate me. I've had low tier gods go through my Facebook account looking for dirt on me in front of 1,000 people.
Low tier god?
Yeah.
The kill yourself guy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be laughing. That's just like
it's funny.
That's a unique experience.
Yeah. I've had like, I kind of pissed off all of the creepypasta narrators by calling out creeps. I know Tom made a video saying like that shit's debunked. I really don't care what he says. I haven't seen the video, so I can't speak for anything other than the title. But I mean, with that situation, it's all but confirmed. The conversations he had with the individual that he allegedly sexted allude
I can't
to him
speak
sexting.
to any of it. I have no idea. I've not watched this video.
I recommend giving it a watch at some point. But yeah, I don't know what Tom said. I just know that he lied about everything going on in his personal life, and it was disprovable through his own Draw My Life video. If he was lying about everything else, why would he not be lying about, the big claim?
Yeah, okay. I can't agree or disagree because I haven't seen it, but now I'm interested.
Yeah. He did a fucking 40, like it was like a 45-minute response video to someone calling him out. And the person, because like
Tom or the McCreeps?
Creeps, yeah. The big thing that happened was there was this narrator called Kumori who worked with him back in 2012. This is evident because there are videos that I think are still up to this day that credit her as a narrator. Now, later on, it comes to find out that this person comes out like, I think 2020, 2019, and reveals that like they had extensive conversations with Creeps, and that while she was 12 years old, there were conversations that allude to her sending private pictures over to a then like 22-year-old Creeps Pasta. She was
Jesus
12.
Christ.
Yeah, and in response, Creeps is like, everything about the situation and these DMs are wrong because I wasn't working at Blockbuster at the time this was happening, even though according to his Draw My Life video, he was working at Blockbuster. And there are even like people who bought stuff from him who still have
God,
his,
this is back in the day.
you know,
Blockbuster's
like,
the ideal creepy guy job, by the way. It's like
yeah,
one of the go-tos. You have access to people's addresses. They didn't even realize that.
yeah,
You know?
it's just like
I have never worked at a Blockbuster.
So like he would like lie about that. He'd say like this could have been an imposter, and it's like, how could this be an imposter account interacting with this person, pretending to be you, using your full legal name, to do so? Like again, at this time, Creeps had like 2,000 subs.
Yeah.
So like the idea that someone was able to impersonate him to this degree and would be this obsessive, even though the guy had just started and just got like his first few thousand subs, is like a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. Not definitive, but definitely a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, Creeps, you worked with this person. They voiced in your videos. So you fucking talked to them using your real account to get this collaboration going, but they interacted with you on a fake account, even though they did have a direct line of communication, at least at some point.
Yeah, I can't
It's
quite
like,
keep track of it in my head, but unfortunately, it's in a fucking Turkey Tom video. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to do the work to see it all.
No. Just watch my video.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to watch Tom's videos after, that's fine. But all Tom does is react to my video. And from the title, it seems like he's calling it into question. I did learn later on that I was able to tie his business email to the account that messaged the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So he's never going to go to jail for it. But like, at the very least, Krasik Pasta lied about DMing a minor who is claiming they sent nudes.
Damn.
And
we're out here fucking getting people.
I used to know this guy.
Oh,
we did have some
you
beef.
guys you did narrations, right?
Yeah. I did have beef with him in like 2016, but we squashed that like immediately. Like I was gonna go to Disneyland with this guy.
Huh.
Like we weren't necessarily like tight, but I mean, like, I was hanging out with Mr. Creepypasta. You know, I was cool with him. And on top of that, I was like, I had him narrate in a few of my narrations and voice in a video or two, even after we had beef in 2016. So clearly, even if we did have drama back in the day, it wasn't enough to stop us from working with each other.
Fair enough. And, what an era, by the way. All the creepypasta people hanging out together.
Hello, homie. What's up? I'm from that era. It's just so funny that, you know, people like Moth really try to call into my call my integrity into question.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this shit since I was literally like 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here for fucking like 10 years now, man. I don't know what to say other than, like, I've been living on YouTube since the beginning. I've never been caught in any like real serious scandals. Sure, I was a cringy like teenager.
Yeah.
If you knew me back then, you knew that I was cringe, that I said shit that honestly I wish I could go back and take away. But like, I was a fucking teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like any of that shit gets brought up. It's just like, oh, TCR interacts with minors inappropriately. And it's like, so I've been on this platform for fucking 10 years. Most of it was as a literal child. And only now am I getting exposed for that via word of mouth. Like, what the fuck? There's no Moth. He doesn't ever show evidence. It's just
no. I'm really excited to see where it goes, though.
It kind of sucks too, because it's like I'm expected to respond to that as though he showed like a screenshot, but it's like, what the fuck do you say? Like, what would you do if tomorrow I went on stream, was like, Westside Tyler, he grooms minors in his Discord, and then a bunch of people just believe it?
I mean, you're kind of
like,
That's kind of the issue with libel. I mean, I'd have to respond to it, obviously.
You'd
but,
have
like,
to you'd have to respond to it. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what do you say? Like, what proof do you show? Like, nah, I didn't. And now it's like my word against yours.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's not
that's
like
you got to have
most
the
people are intelligent enough to not accept things without evidence. Like, if someone you trust
True.
says something, you just believe them. And if you're the first person that they hear, you're more likely to believe the first source that you hear as opposed to a secondary contradictory source.
True.
So that's the game Moth plays. It's the say as much wrong shit as possible, see what sticks, and then hammer the stuff that sticks according to audience reaction, which I think is a very insidious way to go about it. This guy's
True.
like a fucking expert at like just calling people horrible things. His videos take like no time to make. It's just him in front of a camera. And I don't know if he has like an editor or not, but even if he didn't, it wouldn't take him that long to put out a hit piece on me every couple of days, which he was basically doing.
I got one of those I got one of those myself. And shout out, he's watching right now. You know, you get that feeling. You're like, oh, that.
Up, homie.
Yeah. Hello. Shout out, my orbiters. But dude, I'm about to wrap up the program.
Holy shit!
Here pretty soon. I know we only got 12 minutes left. Is there anything else you wanna throw out or add before the end of this? And of course,
yeah,
like I was saying, you're about to put out a video and have all this nicely clean, edited, start to finish, and it'll be a way better holistic experience than just hearing you talk to it.
I'm not only doing a video, but I'm gonna put out a twit longer, and I'm also gonna put out a like a doc.
Oh, tremendous! You got the full
like,
Monty.
Yeah, I'm not trying to I mean, like, I don't want to be a Moth where I just say shit without evidence. And anything I've said today, I can verify with screenshots. And
yeah. And I've seen a bunch of them actually.
Yeah, before we even talked, I verified a lot of this shit with Tyler. So like, I'm not here to like slander someone because of a personal vendetta. I just want him to leave me the fuck alone. I want him to admit that he did wrong and move on with his life. And if he isn't going to admit that he did wrong, and if he isn't willing to move on with his life, then, you know, I at the very least deserve to say my piece. It's kind of ridiculous that I have to keep like answering shit that happened like a year ago because this guy's lied about it so much. Like the whole Daisy's destruction thing. You know, it's like I said that he might, like, me saying he has Daisy's destruction saved on his computer is such a misnomer, because what I actually said is he's admitting to giving away full-on mixtapes if you ask him for it, and he said that he said that he has access to Daisy's destruction. And Moth has objectively said that he has access to Daisy's destruction.
What does that even mean? It's such a bad. I'll tell you right now. I don't even know what that fucking video was until you mentioned it. Yeah, I don't have access. I don't have access to people that have access to something like that. So fucking. It's like it's such a dubious honor.
He says this shit in his own Discord server, where like there's like an actual DM where he's like, the worst thing I ever saw, this Daisy's destruction or the Junko stuff, and it's like, okay, so you saw that. And
like Junko Ferrata in Japan. Yeah, I didn't know there was like anything other than a Wikipedia article on that.
Yeah, he's like on Twitter, like made like jokes about Junko too. Like he likes to joke about Junko for some reason. Like, man, Goku could take more of a beating to Junko. Like, just
I don't
the
like
most
that.
fucked up shit you can say. Yeah, I don't like that either.
I think on that note,
the fucking wiki.
I
fucking read that wiki. Sucks. This guy fucking sucks.
Yes. I think on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up, man. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Crazy conversation. I'm really looking forward to the video, and obviously good luck with all this other shit going on.
Thank you for having me. And if you ever want to have me on to talk about like shitty fucking depressing garbage, I promise you I'm normally a fun guy.
Yes. I actually want to get you on in a couple weeks. We can do the Shadiversary nunchuck video.
Dude, the Shadiversary nunchuck video. I live for that.
I have intentionally not watched it. I haven't seen a fucking single second of it. I'm saving it. And so next time, no segment content warning, no Plagued Moth.
No
Shadiversary nunchucks.
Listen, My life doesn't revolve around Moth. His life revolves around me.
True.
That's the big difference. If you look at my channel, I've made plenty of videos that have nothing to do with that loser.
True. Okay.
Since then. So this is just an opportunity to kind of expand upon the Turkey Tom video you reacted to.
Yes.
And that's all this is.
All good, man. Thanks. And looking forward to yours. And until next time, man.
Shad.
Fuck Shad and fuck Plague Moth. Take it easy, bud. Thanks for popping in.
You have a good one.
You too. See you, man.
Hope you enjoyed